While many people are prepping for the 4th of July holiday weekend, state education leaders were hard at work this week considering school grading guidelines for the just completed term. At the July Board of Education meeting this week, the board began tackling the looming issue of A through F accountability grades for the 2014-2015 academic year. The state adopted new academic standards as well as new and improved ISEP Plus assessment tests last year after ditching federal Common Core standards. Parents, teachers, and state education officials have expressed concerns about this year's A through F grades, citing the tendency for student scores to drop overall after the introduction of new assessment exams. The Indiana Department of Education gave the board a list of 12 options for determining the 2014-15 A through F grades, which range from a plan to skip grades for this past academic year and carry over 2013-2014 grades, to assigning grades for 2014-2015 but suspending any repercussions for underperforming schools. Federal guidelines give some flexibility for assigning the A through F grades during transition years, but board members hope to decide on a course of action by October, at which time results of the revised ISEP Plus tests will be finalized. If you've been lax when it comes to paying your state taxes, beginning late summer, you can catch a bit of a state-sanctioned break. Governor Mike Pence announced this week that Indiana will have a tax amnesty from September 15 until November 16th of 2015. The amnesty is a limited time opportunity for individuals and businesses to pay past due taxes free of penalty, interest, and collection fees. The governor says the first $84 million in outstanding taxes collected will be used to bankroll Indiana's Regional Cities Development Initiative. He says the Regional Cities program is vital to Indiana communities trying to bolster investment, attract talent, and ensure economic growth. Hoosiers taking advantage of the 2015 state tax amnesty will be released from liens imposed for non-payment and will not be subject to criminal prosecution. Just in time for the 4th of July holiday weekend, the Indiana Department of Transportation is helping travelers declare their independence from highway construction and traffic conditions by adding travel time information to some state highway message boards along I-8094 and I-65 in Northwest Indiana. Additionally, INDOT is having a roadwork hiatus this weekend and asking construction crews to give motorists as much room in construction zones as possible. INDOT is hoping these measures, plus the additional travel information, will help keep drivers not just well informed, but safe. Indiana State Police are doing their part to keep fatal and severe crashes around the state to a minimum this weekend. They're reminding drivers to leave early and allow plenty of travel time, to obey all laws and posted speed limits, to never drive drunk, drowsy, or distracted, and to always remember to buckle up. The new month ushered in the start of the state's biennial budget, along with some new laws taking effect in Northwest Indiana and around the state. One of which is the Religious Freedom Restoration Act, which allows private businesses to refuse customers based on their religious beliefs, though those businesses are not allowed to discriminate based on race, color, religion, ancestry, age, national origin, disability, sex, sexual orientation, gender identity, or U.S. military service. The law was amended after its passage caused a national backlash against the state. The repeal of the common construction wage is also now the law of the land. It dissolves the boards that set the common construction wage pay scale for public construction projects. Additionally, there are now a number of new ethics laws on the books that will close loopholes and increase transparency with regard to the job performance of state officers and employees. If you're one of those drivers who uses the left lane to cruise instead of pass, under another law that took effect this week, you'll need to make your way for faster traffic or you will be breaking the law. A violation could get you a fine of up to $500. The idea behind the slowpoke law is to keep the flow of traffic moving and cut down on road rage. Authorities say the legislation is a response to road rage altercations instigated by drivers not moving at the pace of traffic in the faster left lane. Police will make exceptions for traffic conditions that force motorists to use the left lane and for bad weather or hazards that restrict travel to that lane. Drivers can also use the left lane to obey local traffic laws or devices when exiting a roadway or turning left or when paying a toll or user fee.
And what it is if you're traveling on a 2 lanes or more road and you're in that left lane and a car catches up behind you, you need to move over. Basically what it's saying, and it's it's the same adage, the left lane is for passing and the right lanes are for driving.
The law does not apply to emergency vehicles, highway maintenance vehicles, or construction workers. State police say in the beginning they'll just be giving out warnings. The law gives officers discretion about who gets a ticket and when. Mental health care advocates say that every day across the country, someone who requires mental health services doesn't get desperately needed assistance. In Northwest Indiana, a solution for this problem is now a reality at the Edgewater Behavioral Health Services facility in Gary. It's called the Edgewater Rapid Access Center, and it's the only such program in the state of Indiana. The existence of the specialty healthcare site means that now police don't have to take mental health patients to the hospital or to jail. A number of Edgewater's state and local partners showed up for the ribbon-cutting celebration to mark the official opening of the new program. Edgewater has 2 levels of care: outpatient care, where patients get up to 23 hours of mental health services, and a residential care section where patients can be treated for up to 28 days. The patients voluntarily admit themselves for treatment, and the goal is to make sure every patient gets the help he or she needs.
Lots of times when people are experiencing a psychiatric episode, and the police may pick them up, but recognize that they don't necessarily need to be in jail or need to be in a hospital. So this can be an alternative to that. They can voluntarily agree to come to this facility and receive whatever services and treatment that they need and become stabilized and get on back about their lives.
The program can treat up to 16 in the outpatient section and can accommodate up to 15 people on the residential floor. Organizers say they hope this one-of-a-kind rapid access center can be a model for the rest of the state. A traveling artist helps the region celebrate Independence Day with a colorful memorial for war veterans. And some Gary residents are on the losing side of a turf war. These stories, plus Michael Puente, coming up on Lakeshore Report.
Lakeshore Report wants to hear from you. Send your thoughts, concerns, questions, and story ideas to tvfeedback@lakeshorepublicmedia.org. You can also reach us on Facebook and Twitter at Lakeshore Report. Make sure to tweet us using the hashtag NWIPride, and you may see your comments on air. Lakeshore Report, providing you region-focused content.
A closed community where neighbors leave their doors unlocked and share a garden is losing the land they call home. Lakeshore's Hillary Powell talks to the residents of the Jerry Park Mobile Home Park, who say new plans for the property have left them with few options.
Bunch of cherry tomatoes.
A few days ahead of the 4th of July holiday, Rebecca Sibley of Gary is planning to not just prune her tomatoes, but pack them up.
But as soon as I took them out, put them in a bucket of soil and water, they died. Oh, Chubby. Go say hi. Go say hi.
For a few more days, Sibley lives in the Jerry Park Mobile Home Complex in the Black Oak neighborhood, just south of Interstate 8094 and west of Burr Street. But after the complex's owner recently sold the property to Aerogas, owners of a nearby Mr. Fuel, she's spending the holiday weekend packing, not celebrating.
It's going right along with the other holidays. Let's see, our Memorial Day holiday was ruined when we got the news.
Residents were originally given about a month's notice to have all their homes relocated to make room for a new truck stop, but project officials pushed the deadline back to August 31st. That's a little longer for some of Sibley's neighbors to enjoy the close-knit community they thought they would always call home.
I'm 79 years old and I retired. I thought I was going to live here till I die. 79 years old, I ain't looking for a place to move to on the 4th of July.
I'm a tree. I planted my roots here. I've been in Indiana for 25 years, but 9 years here. And like I said, it's just, this is home.
Mostly we can move to another park or sell our homes, but we don't have much time to do that.
Residents were offered a payment of about $3,800 to cover moving costs. In June, Sibley met with Gary Mayor Karen Freeman Wilson and Aerogas Company representatives, including project engineer Jerry Radke, after expressing concern the money isn't enough.
3 mobile home parks already will actually move the homes for nothing. So there'll be free moving. At basically the cost for moving would be about $4,000, but they will be getting them free.
They think that the 3810 is going to give us anything. Not really, because we're going to be paying more than that with anything else we need to do. For homes, U-Hauls, boarding of animals. Want some crackers?
Sibley is concerned her ducks, Sam and Dean, will be displaced during the weekend move. Her mobile home has to be placed on her new property, Pine Village in Hobart, before these two can be moved.
Oh, there's a cucumber right there.
It's all food for thought that a home is not just a house.
You get to take your home with you, but it's just not going to feel like home, if that makes any sense. And I don't think that could ever be replaced.
Sibley says residents were told those who don't leave by August 31st may receive nothing to cover moving expenses. When Lakeshore Report attempted to speak with the property manager on camera, he declined. Scott Lovato is an unabashed lover of all things American, but most especially, he loves the flag. He's been painting flags on everything since the 1980s, but now he's painting flags on American Legion posts and VFW halls across the nation, from Alaska to New Orleans. His most recent stop was here in Lake Station, Indiana, at the American Legion Post 100. As Stephen Lattimore reports, it's a big reminder that the 4th of July is all about freedom, heroes, and the flag.
When it comes to veterans, they want basic stuff. No flash, no pomp and circumstance. I mean, look at the building. It's basic gray. Well, there's a guy who's been going around the country painting these buildings. His name is Scott Lovato, and he says, hey, these guys are veterans, and that just isn't good enough.
It's probably one of my better ones.
Artist Scott Lovato of New York City is crazy for veterans. Don't believe me? Just listen.
The greatest celebrities that ever lived, and they are the men and women of the armed forces, are veterans. These people that knowingly walked in the shadow of the valley of death, go to war and lose their limbs and their lives, and for my personal freedom.
Scott is on a 6-month tour of America where he will paint a flag mural on a VFW post in every state in America. It starts out this way. It can take between 1.5 and 3 days to paint each mural. To prepare, he does his research to make sure the building is right. And then he sketches out the stars and stripes and then just paints.
Now I want people to take a double take and a double thinking, double thought, especially like children. Children love my work because it's visual. It's very, very visual. Kid driving by, Daddy, look at that big, beautiful, colorful flag. Why is that there? Then the old man gets to say, that's where the heroes hang out.
Scott has a very deep connection to his work.
They're very humble. We all know veterans. They don't ask for anything. They don't want pomp and parade. But it's too bad, I tell them, because I'm bringing it. And I'm bringing it big.
Lovato says he hopes his work sparks conversations about veterans issues.
Look what happened in the last year with the VA hospital. These guys dying, waiting to get into a hospital. The number one special people in this country, and they're not like, hey, let me in, and it just made me crazy. So that's another reason why I'm out here, bringing attention. Like, these people are first.
At the unveiling, local vets say the flag mural is a new memorial for Lake Station.
When I saw the picture on Facebook this morning, it's like it just jumps out at you. It's like, it's awesome.
Especially if you get back and give yourself some distance from you, they really just catch you off guard because it seems like it's actually waving.
I think it's beautiful. It looks beautiful. It looks better than anyone I've seen. I like how they got the waves in it. It looks really nice.
Veteran Sergeant First Class John Mason is from Lake Station, but now he lives in Fayetteville, North Carolina. He met Scott and convinced him to come to Lake Station to paint a mural.
I thank God every day that he kept me alive, and he has put in so many good people in my life to help me make sure that this sacrifice did not go in vain.
There's 2.5 million veterans under the age of 35. We all think middle age and old men, old men and women. No, man, that's Gen X's, millennials. That's a whole new bracket coming in, and we got to keep that wave going. That's our job as civilians. We go about it, suck up the milk and honey. We all do. I do it. But don't you forget why. You can.
Wait, face! Present! Arm!
Like I said before, just 4 months to die.
Lake Station marks the halfway point for Scott. His next stop is Dearborn, Michigan. In Lake Station, Stephen Lattimore, Lakeshore Report.
Scott does not take donations. His work is sponsored by the Stephen Siller Tunnel to Towers Foundation, the Home Depot Foundation, Bear Paint, and City Quiet Windows. For more information on his nationwide flag tour, you can check out www.scottlovato.com. Violent crime has claimed the life of 2 people in Hammond this week. Police say the incidents are likely gang-related, and residents are concerned about an uptick in gang activity. Hammond Mayor Tom McDermott sat down with Michael Puente to discuss the impact gangs are having on one Northwest Indiana community.
Police in Hammond are investigating 2 homicides this week. One of the victims was a 16-year-old girl, an apparent innocent bystander in a shooting that some say was gang-related. What can police and the public do to stop these shootings and the senseless deaths? Joining me on Lakeshore Report is Hammond Mayor Tom McDermott, Jr. Thank you for joining me here, Mayor.
Hey, Mike, how's it going?
Well, Mayor, tell me, these shootings and these deaths must be troubling to you. What is your police department doing to try to quell the violence?
Well, we have an active gang unit, and we're out there every single day trying to quell violence. It seems like during some times of the year we're more successful than others. You know, up until about 3 weeks ago, Hammond only had 1 murder for the entire year, and when you look at other urban cities around Indiana, we're way lower than them. Then we had a bad week, and you know, it's nothing that one person could stop. It takes a community, and we're working hard. You know, Hammond Police Department's funded with $25 million of taxpayers' money, 211 police officers working hard every single day to try to stop this type of thing from happening.
You know, earlier this week there was a report that came out that says part of the problem may be lack of gun law, gun control. Do you see that as an issue?
Well, it's an issue for sure. I mean, it's interesting. We're filming this on July 1st when all the new state laws go into effect in Indiana. And one of the new laws that go into effect today is you could legally buy a sawed-off shotgun today. You know, you wonder sometimes whose team the legislators and the governor is on when they're passing laws like this that could make my life as mayor more difficult. You know, mayors of urban cities, one of the big problems we have is gun violence, handguns particularly, in the hands of people that they shouldn't belong to.
Well, let me ask you this. A lot of times in the media, we like to use that term gang-related. Does it matter to you if these shootings, and apparently these deaths, are gang-related, especially when you got a 16-year-old who was an innocent bystander?
Well, that's the worst part is kids make a conscious decision, and young adults, by the way, make a conscious decision to join gangs, knowing full well the lifestyle brings the increased likelihood of traumatic death, imprisonment, but they consciously make that decision. So it makes it easier for a mayor to deal with gang-on-gang shootings. You know, it sort of comes with the lifestyle of joining a gang. When an innocent bystander is hit, that's when, you know, it's a lot more serious, obviously. Nobody likes any violence in their cities.
It's summertime, though. Is the police department kind of gearing up for perhaps more potential violence since it's summertime?
Well, studies, you know, I've been mayor 12 years now, and it's cyclical. Murders, shootings happen when it's warm out. When it's cold out, Mother Nature helps us a lot. So yeah, we work a little bit harder, obviously, during this time of year, but you can't let your guard down in December either, because shootings happen then as well. It's a constant presence that we put on the streets, you know.
Now, Mayor, these 2 homicides happened in a particular neighborhood. What can the public do to assist the police department to try to quell some of this violence? What can they do? What's their role?
Well, you know, obviously, when you see gangs, you know, standing about, loitering, you know, get us out there, get the Hammond police out there, even if it's just to drive by and make sure things are fine. In the case of the second shooting, there was about 20 individuals out paying respects to the first gang member that was shot, and they were literally standing in the middle of the road when the second shooting took place, and that's when the young woman, the 16-year-old victim that was not affiliated with that gang, was hit. It's a tragedy.
Well, I want to thank the Mayor of Hammond, Tom McDermott, Jr., for joining me here today on Lakeshore Report. Thank you, Mayor, for coming.
Thanks very much. I appreciate it.
In an effort to give you even more insight on region events, we're collaborating with the state's second-largest newspaper, the Times of Northwest Indiana. Regularly, we'll have an exclusive preview of some of the top stories in this Sunday's paper. This week, the Times features Natalie White, who's been helping her father, Ken Tice, with beekeeping since she was a child. While beekeeping has seen a resurgence among hobbyists, White says the art is not without its challenges, now more than ever.
It's such a pure, primitive craft, and I love the idea of it, and I think the bees are beautiful, and I think what they do is beautiful, and so I've always been interested in doing it with them. And I also like the idea of kind of carrying on a family tradition now with my own kids. They're getting into it, they'll help bottle, they'll go look for the bees with us, and I enjoy being able to educate them about it too. So yeah, I guess I've been doing this for about 32 years. The weather's been just all over the board, and it affects the bees, and it affects how we can work the bees, when we can work the bees. We have, 85% loss probably, I would say, especially the last few years on our hives, and trying to repopulate that, and it's getting more expensive to just even restart a hive year after year after year. And that's a big struggle people don't understand, and they don't see that aspect of it. It's unbelievable how many people are getting interested in it. I just hope they truly did their research before going into it, because we've had a lot of people ask us questions, and they just went to the store and bought their bees. And they don't have the equipment, they don't have the time, they don't have the resources, and it's a very expensive hobby. Especially if you're probably going to lose your bees every year and have to rebuild that every single year. And so I just hope people are educating themselves, because I would love to see people with hives in their backyards. That would be wonderful, just for even their own personal gardens, flowers, trees, everything around them would be so much healthier and lush and grown. And so I hope people are educating themselves before they're entering into it, because there's a lot they need to know that goes into it.
For more information about this story, check out the Sunday's Times or log on to www.nwitimes.com. And don't forget, for more information on any of our stories, you can go to lakeshorepublicmedia.org. Thank you so much for joining us. We hope to see you next time on Lakeshore Report.
Hi, joining me for this edition of Eye on the Arts is Julie Newman, who is the marketing director for Indiana Ballet Theater. And Julie, welcome.
Thank you for
And
having me.
are you the first marketing director at IBT?
I'm not.
You're not, okay. Well, then that's the end of that discussion. But you've been working in the dance area with both Gloria Tui, founder of Indiana Ballet Theater, and before that, for quite some time.
I have, yes. I've been involved in dance since I was 6 years old, somewhere or another.
Tap dancing.
And ballet,
balleting.
hip hop, all that jazz, yeah.
People love it.
They do.
People love it for their kids. I think it's a great thing. It really teaches you a lot of skills.
It does, even outside, just from the physical exercise and things like that, it's a discipline.
It is. So. And a lot of great behavior comes out of it, an ability to conduct yourself, for heaven's sake. Yeah. Well, okay. So now you're a marketing director for what, a month you said? Something like that,
yeah.
And you have, and there's always a lot going on with Indiana Ballet Theater. It just seems to grow by leaps and bounds, no pun intended.
Yes.
And you have a great educational program for the summer, right?
Yes, we have a lot of things going on this summer. We have our regular classes, which began on Monday, June 15th, and that session runs through July 25th. And then we also have a couple intensives. We have a mini intensive, and that is July 12th and 13th with Virginia Holte is coming out from Hawaii.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, she is the artistic director for the West Hawaii Ballet Theater.
Oh, wow. So what is an intensive? What is that comprised of?
Usually it's a variety of classes focusing on technique and artistic, techniques as well. And it runs all day. So you start, say, 10 in the morning and you go until the evening. And you do that we've got the one that is that runs from July 31st through August 9th, and then the mini is just a 2-day with Virginia Holte, but it's intense. That's why.
So these are good for people who have time constraints.
Yes,
and,
absolutely.
Yeah, just don't have. So
Right.
do you? And are these for young people or for?
Yes, well, we also have, for the little ones, we have a Frozen-themed dance camp.
Oh, that's cute.
Yes,
Mhm.
and that's a 4-day, and that's
Mhm.
only from like 10 to 2, so it's a short one. It's
Mhm.
better for the little ones. And that is July 20th through the 24th.
Okay. Well, that's all the time we have to talk about this right now. But I'm sure I'll see you again at Eye on the Arts. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching. We'll be back again next week with another edition of Eye on the Arts. Eye on the Arts is made possible in part by South Shore Arts, the Indiana Arts Commission, and the National Endowment for the Arts, a federal agency.